tried to get out. They pulled me back in. Deconverted man here. Hey, remember that video I just did where I complained about war on words and stuff? No? Good. Because I'm going to ignore that it exists now and proceed to attack this video with words. Yeah, being a hypocrite's not a logical fallacy. Anyways, Bret Weinstein doesn't understand religion or doesn't see the insanity of religion, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to say. He's complaining about stuff. So there's stuff that he said that I want to talk about. Here we go.
So I have a long-running conversation with a friend of ours over what the actual state of Richard Dawkins' mind is. And
talking about somebody's mental state? What are you, a psychologist? A psychiatrist? Why are you doing... I don't get that. Whatever. Okay.
You know, I think it would be well known to our audience that I'm frustrated by Richard Dawkins because he insists that religions are mind viruses. And
well, broadly speaking, religion can be conceived as a mind virus. It's something that infects your brain and then you're stuck with it unless you get some disinfectant of some sort, a vaccine, if you will. Oh, right. Bret is kind of against vaccines sort of these days. Oh, I've been watching Bret for a while. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're kind of anti-vax sort of ish, depending on the vaccine. It's kind of unclear. And they've done other things. They've said things that some of them I agree, some of them I don't. And as I said, I watched them carefully because, you know, I'm waiting for the moment for them to be so wrong that I have to say something about it. So, yeah, here we go.
My feeling is Richard Dawkins is an excellent evolutionary biologist, and it should be obvious to him that that couldn't possibly explain religions. When I had my interaction with him in 2018 on stage in Chicago, I was hoping that by presenting him with the evidence that he would understand that he had made an error and that he would do the right thing and that he would come around.
Okay, so you failed to convince him that you're right, so he must be wrong. Got it.
What happened?
It did not happen.
I know.
Right. It did not happen. Yeah. And what's more, he has done quite the opposite. And frankly, you know, look, he's entitled to have personal failings as much as anybody. But I'm
How is it a personal failing to call religion evil or vile or a mind virus or whatever you want to call it? Religion's made by humans, for humans. It is made for lots of reasons, but a primary reason is to control. And it does a really good job at that. I think you're confusing and conflating ideas about what it is that Dawkins is trying to say, maybe. Or maybe you have a religion that you like and you don't like it, that religion is being called something that you don't like. I don't know.
I'm saddened and disappointed that somebody who I learned as much from as I learned from Richard Dawkins does not seem to understand the basic principle of scientific mentorship, right? You produce a next generation that comes to understand things that you didn't, and you should welcome that. You shouldn't end that off. And in this case, he's holding on to what I think is a childish notion that it's as simple as there's no God in the sky, therefore these people are confused, and that's all.
That's not that isn't a what? First of all, that's not a childish notion. Yeah, there is no person in the sky. There is no man in the sky. Also, that isn't how religious people represent God anyway, so that would be a straw man. I don't think Dawkins has spoken in those terms, so now you're strawmanning the straw man that is the construct straw man that you've made of what Dawkins is supposedly saying about religion. Good job, I guess.
That's all there is to it, when in fact, there's a whole lot more to it. And evolutionarily speaking, what there is to it is pretty damn profound.
Evolutionary speaking, what there is to religion is pretty darn profound. What? Okay, so religion has evolved, sure, alongside of us and with humanity throughout time. It has changed and will continue to change and evolve, or it will die out. Religions that are not successful will die out, or they will be killed by a different religion. The people of that religion will just be wiped out. Like the Christian crusaders back in the day. They came, they saw, they conquered, they killed, or they threatened to kill. Look at Mexico. Okay, back in the day, Mexico had a lot of different religions, and we because we're lazy just call them pagan, because we don't know what the names of these religions were, or we're too lazy to find out, or whatever. So they're all just pagan religions. And the conquistadors, I can't say the word, the conquerors came, and unfortunately, and this happened with the Native Americans too, but the Mexicans in their beliefs believed things about a white savior. And then they saw the white people and were like, hey, the savior. Whoops. So they welcomed them like gods, and then the gods took advantage of them. And they're like, these aren't gods. And then they were like, yeah, we're going to kill you and do whatever, and you need to adopt our belief, or else we're going to keep killing you and stuff. And well, maybe we'll kill you anyways. And soon Catholicism reigned supreme in Mexico, and very few, if any, of the original religions survived that slaughter of if not actual slaughter, an intellectual slaughter of ideas. If you tell someone to pretend that you're religious long enough of a given religion, their children will become that religion inevitably. Because if you're acting like a Catholic, even though you secretly believe in your religion, it's very hard to keep quiet your actual religion and have it continue to exist. It's not impossible. The Japanese did it. There's an interesting documentary on that. The hidden Christian, I forget the name of the documentary. I'll find it later. But there was hidden Christians in Japan for a long time, because Christianity had been outlawed for a period of time. So Christianity went into hiding because it was against the law to be Christian. So it's not impossible, but it's unlikely that your thing will survive. But it's a pathology. It spread. The Europeans came in with their pathology and inflicted it upon the natives, and then left, and it stayed. And very few people were needed to keep watch to make sure that it didn't go away. And, so it's dead. That religion wiped out their religions. Yeah, that's pretty much I don't know. I mean, you can call it a virus, a pathology, a bacteria. I don't know. Invasive species, maybe. But yeah, it definitely took hold. And it definitely beat out what their original beliefs were. Maybe you just don't like the terminology, and I think we'll get a little bit more here of that.
So anyway, I'm disappointed not only in his failure to see it, but in his, I think, petty behavior in failing to see it. And so anyway, I have this debate with a friend of ours as to whether or not he's come around, because he said some things about himself being culturally Christian and the utility of religion and all of that. And then, so I thought maybe he had sort of, he wasn't man enough to admit that he had changed his position, but he's changed it. But no, turns out not true. Here's what he tweeted this morning. He says, nothing so vividly illustrates the mental infection that is religion.
Yeah. I mean, look at this picture here. So it's a whole bunch of people in white bowing towards a cube. And thousands upon thousands of humans, all dressed the same, all bowing to a construct that people built. A bunch of people built that cube, and inside that cube is a space rock, meteorite, and there's some special religious significance attached to that rock because I don't know, reasons. So they're all worshiping a rock that they placed inside of a man-made structure. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I mean, but people are doing it, and obviously they all sincerely believe that rock is holy and sacred and not just a space rock. That it means more to them. Those millions of people all dressed in a certain way because that signifies their devotion to it. They're all bowing to it. They're all on their faces to it, all worshiping it, praying to it, praising it. It's a rock, but they don't believe it's a rock. They believe it's some artifact from God. I don't really understand I'd have to look up what the bleep the rock is, but they are clearly worshiping it. Yes, that's a virus that's stuck in their brain. It's not true. That rock is just a rock from space, but they all believe it's holy. And me saying that it's just a rock from space will get me killed if I was over there. They would kill me. I would be dead for saying that. No doubt. And millions have died and been killed because of the religion of Islam. But it's a peaceful religion. They were really peaceful killings. I mean, your hands chopped off because you stole something, because that's a good way to punish people for stealing, Well, cover people head to toe if they're women, because that makes sense, Okay, cool. Stone to death people who are homosexual or you think are homosexual or are Muslim, yeah, cool. All peaceful and loving, things that religion does. And they think that that's fine. They think that that's holy and righteous to do. There's nothing wrong with doing that. That's their belief. But that's not pathology. That's fine, Sure, billions of people have died because of a cube, but that's fine. Don't worry about it. You're calling it a pathology, though. I don't like that. Oh, Bret, you don't like that he's calling something a pathology because that's the wrong term to use or something? It's not as simple as that? I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm a simple guy, but a whole bunch of people worshiping a rock and being willing to kill other humans who don't worship that rock, that seems pretty crazy to me. I don't know.
And he has a picture of the mosque at, this is Mecca, and Muslims all dressed in white, all kneeling towards the rock. And I was just struck that, it's 2025. He knows the argument, or at least should. And here he is still pretending that picture depicts a pathology, which to me is just, it's a preposterous notion. I mean, if you think about, if I was, I considered doing this, collecting some images of actual pathologies, if I.
Okay, Bret, actual pathology versus pathology in this context are different things. A mind virus is not meant to be the same thing as an actual virus. Like, this is a metaphor. You understand metaphors, right? Like, you get that it's not really a pathogen. Anyway, so what's in that rock is apparently the black stone that was believed to be given to Adam by Gabriel. And it was originally white, but it became black, absorbing the sin of pilgrims who have touched and kissed it. Sure. Anyways, back to Bret, I guess. Where's the thing?
Put up an image of, gangrene or
please don't
a wart, right?
Also, no.
Right, or a rabid animal or something. They look disordered and deranged, and whatever else you may think about that image, this image, I mean, for one thing, it's a beautiful image.
It's a beautiful image? What the hell are you talking about, Bret? It's a beautiful image? What? What are you saying? I don't see the beauty here, Bret. I don't see what's beautiful about thousands of people worshiping a rock. I don't see the beauty there. Okay? I just don't. I think it's sad that humans do this. I think it's sad that these same humans will kill people that don't do this and think that that's good because they think that their book told them to, and their book actually does tell them to. And they think that that is God telling them to do that. I think that's pretty sad. I feel remorse for the human condition that we're able to believe in such nonsense, Bret. I don't find this beautiful at all. I don't care that you do. I don't understand why. I don't see the value in this photo. This is a depiction of humans worshiping a space rock. These humans who may or may not be guilty themselves of killing others, but certainly are part of a religion that will kill other humans because of beliefs that religion holds, Bret. Disgusting.
Depicting a highly organized behavior of a mysterious origin. That should...
Highly organized behavior of a mysterious origin. What the fuck are you smoking, Bret? Seriously. Yeah, it's highly organized. Mysterious origin? Not really. We can trace the origin of the Muslim religion as well as other religions to some extent. It's not mysterious at all. What the fuck are you talking about?
Be beckoning a guy like Dawkins to understand it.
So your idea is that
beckoning us to understand it. What the hell is there to understand? Whole bunch of people worshiping what is inside of a cube because they believe that rock was given to somebody that never existed by somebody else who doesn't exist, and that the rock changed colors, even though there's no evidence that the rock did change colors, and they're all worshiping a rock, and that's beckoning us to understand what exactly, Bret? What am I supposed to understand? Am I lacking nuance here, Bret? They worship, they're admiring a rock. They're worshiping Allah, I guess, but I don't know. This rock is really important. So I don't know what I'm supposed to understand other than humans believing in nonsense. What am I supposed to understand about that exactly, Bret?
that actual pathogen, while organized itself, creates entropy in its host.
Right.
And that religion does the opposite.
Does the opposite.
you're kind of dumb, and your wife in this moment are kind of dumb. You know, you kind of are smart about some things, but you're dumb about this, okay? Yes, he's calling it a pathogen. Maybe he should have called it something else. I don't know. Whatever. It's a metaphor. It's meant to invoke imagery of something bad that's taken hold. Perhaps parasite is a better word. How about religion parasite? If I knew Dawkins, I'd tell him, hey, call it a parasite from now on. Because you can live with the parasite. And parasite can be, codependent upon each other. So, but it's still a parasite. It's not bad necessarily, but you don't need it to live. But once it's on you, then you do. Once the parasite, well, maybe not parasite. I don't know. What's the thing that I don't know, something that would attach to you and, live off of you, but also let you live off of it, I don't know, whatever the bleep that is. But at any rate, okay, it is a thing that gets a hold of you and gets a hold of your brain and won't let go. But yes, it spreads like a virus. That's the metaphor that Dawkins is going for, obviously. I mean, duh. And I guess Bret's just like, oh, you said pathogen, therefore it's not like pathogen because I don't understand metaphor. Duh. You moronic nitwit. Come on. It's obviously a metaphor. Duh. Religion is like a virus or pathogen or whatever the fuck you want to call it. I don't know. But it's not really like a pathogen because it's not disorganized. It doesn't lead to death like a pathogen does. Aren't I smart? Yeah, because it's not an argument per se, an argument to analogy. Then it would be fallacious, and you could call it an argument to analogy and just say the analogy is flawed. Okay, cool. Yeah, but he just saying it's just like this is like that. It's like this is representative of humans being crazy, donkey, wacky, wily, nutsoid. Look at how many people believe in this rock. Isn't this nonsense, people? Yeah, it is. It's kind of crazy. Now, maybe, and somebody in the comments said this, maybe if it was a depiction of somebody getting stoned to death, that'd be easier to understand. That looks pretty devastating. And the result of that stoning to death? Why? Religion. Maybe if it was somebody, their arms getting chopped off because they stole something, that would be a clear sign of this pathogen. But we can't really share that on X or whatever platforms, can we, Bret? So you misunderstand the metaphor, the analogy, deliberately here, equivocating it and mistaking it for the argument itself when it's not the argument itself. I don't think. Dawkins is saying, look at what these humans are doing. Isn't this a good example of how crazy religion can be? He didn't say it in those words, but he could have. And yeah. And he could have shown any people worshiping anything. He picked Muslims. He picked Islam. Because Islam hasn't been made fun of in a while. So it's their turn, We make fun of Christians all the time. Let's make fun of Islam for a while. Next up is Judaism. Oh, that will get me in trouble. Whatever. I'm going to make fun of Judaism, not the Jews. Different thing. Making fun of Islam isn't making fun of Muslims. Different thing. Anyways. What else you got to say there, Nitwit?
And here's the test. Here's the thing, Richard Dawkins, any day he wants to, can wake up and just run the following thought experiment in order to realize that he's off track. With respect to a creature that is infected, we understand why they don't just free themselves of the infection. Because it's difficult. Because, to be perfectly immune to the infection would be so hobbling that it's a state that cannot evolve. So anyway, we run some risk of infection in order to live life, and that means we're sometimes infected, and it results in disorder. In the case of religious devotion, there are always atheists of every stripe. right? You've got people who are born into Christian homes who don't believe, Jewish homes don't believe, Muslim homes don't believe. If this were a pathology, then the people who were simply like their kin, but free of this pathological belief, they would have an advantage. And that lack of belief would spread, and it would drive out the devout.
Bret's confused. Again, he is mixing the metaphor with like reality at this point. He's like, well, if it was exactly like a pathology, then the atheists would be like the antibodies. And what the fuck are you talking about, man? But here's the thing that you apparently are like ignoring, forgetting, not including in your stupid analysis. That's not even an analysis thing that you're doing here, Bret. And I forget what his wife's name is. Otherwise, I'd be calling her name out too. She's not saying as much as he is. So, you know. But anyways, whatever. Bret's wife, whatever. You know, I'll just go with the Bible. The Bible, the Holy Judeo-Christian Bible, doesn't bother naming women. So, you know, it's fine to just call you Bret's wife now. Because that's beautiful, isn't it? Isn't that just beautiful there? Don't you just love not being recognized, Bret's wife? I'm just doing what the Judeo-Christian Bible does, Bret's wife. Just asking. By the way, also Bret's wife, you should know that in the Judeo-Christian Bible and in Muslim, you wouldn't be talking. Nah, not at all. You wouldn't even be on the show because you're a woman. You should be covered head to toe. That would be beautiful, wouldn't it, Bret? Wouldn't that be beautiful picture? Have your wife covered in head to toe and not on the show at all? Wouldn't that be wonderful, Bret? Wouldn't that be just better for all of us, Bret? Wasn't Islam right about women, Bret? Isn't that beautiful how they treat their women, Bret? Anyways, Bret, I'm not done making fun of you, obviously, nor am I done eviscerating your stupid ideas that you have. So you're conflating and confusing the metaphor with reality. The atheists are the antibodies to the pathogen of religion. Well, the problem is the religions often kill the antibodies of atheists. That being an atheist is extraordinarily difficult to do because people have historically killed atheists for being an atheist. And if not outright killed, then certainly restrained them from speaking or removed them from society or shunned them into silence, Bret. So it's not like the religion doesn't actively protect itself from these antibodies of atheists, Bret. But now, in our golden age that we're in today, slowly the antibodies are spreading, Bret, and atheism is gaining, Bret, because now it's harder for the religions to kill us. Because the law, thankfully, is on our side and protects us from that killing. Not everywhere, though. Remember the whole thing with the guy drawing Muhammad and being killed? And what that sparked, Draw Muhammad Day? Maybe we should do that some more again because that's a shame that that disappeared, isn't it? We need to remember that Islam will kill if they can. And it's only the Western mindset that has prevented it from doing that. And looking at Pew Research polling, when they last polled Muslims, most of them wanted Sharia law. That means they will kill you if it was legal to do so. Bret, you and me, and anyone else that isn't Muslim. Or maybe we'll get taxed higher rates than everyone else. But it's easier to kill us. Because we don't agree with their religion, Bret. If the Muslims were in charge, I would be dead. So would a lot of people I know. And hell, they might come kill me anyways. I don't know. Hope not. But if they do, remember this video, Bret. My blood would be on their hands, but it'd also be on yours. Really shows the world how peaceful of a religion you are when you kill people that make fun of your religion, doesn't it? Or say that you're wrong, that your God is made up, or that they make fun of your space rock or whatever. Shows you just how peaceful that religion is. Oh, well, some of the people in it are peaceful. Yeah, sure. Right now, because they have to be. But if they want Sharia law, are they really peaceful, or are they just peaceful because it's convenient to be peaceful? But if they had it their way, they wouldn't be peaceful. I don't know. Depends on the person. Well, I know Muslims. I don't, look. Or you're Islamophobic. Yeah, I'm pretty damn scared of Islam. Because they kill people for real. Like somebody, again, remember the guy that drew? I can't remember his name. I'd have to find that, That's sad that I don't remember his name, isn't it? But yeah. Screw Islam. Islam, more like Islam. Also, my name is Gurmenia. So, yeah. Hey, Christopher. With your mush mouth guy. Yeah. Here you go. Bye-bye. Anyways, the pathogen of religion is being beaten by atheists slowly, thankfully, because now we are protected from being killed by laws. Whereas before, we weren't necessarily protected by law. But now we are, broadly speaking, but not everywhere. I'm sure there's atheists in the realms that are controlled by Islam, and those atheists can't be atheists because that would mean their death. But I'm sure they're out there. And some of them have escaped that to speak out against it. And some speak out against it, risking their lives to do so, and I salute them. Now, Bret, it is a virus. It is a bug in our system that humans believe in nonsense. That we're able to do this is not a feature. It is a bug. And the atheists are here to fix the bug. And now, slowly, atheism is growing and will continue to grow. And religion, maybe it will stay around, but I think it's going to have to change real fast to stay around. It's going to have to get rid of all the nonsense. It's going to have to get rid of the belief in magical rocks. It's going to have to get rid of the belief that dressing people in a certain way means something. It's going to have to get rid of all their magical beliefs. And that's going to weaken its control over humans a whole lot. Until that day, Bret, religion will be and continue to be a virus pathogen among us that must be eradicated in, a humane way. Because we are going to be better than it. We're not going to kill to win. They would, but we're not going to do that. We strong, minor atheist skeptics that are out here, we're not going to kill to win this war, Bret. Unlike they would if they had their way. We're going to win this war with reason and logic and science. And not your mumbo-jumbo mythology and loving of a picture of people bowing to a black cube, Bret. We're better than the religion. We atheists out here. We're better than you in this moment because you don't understand what Dawkins is trying to say. Because you want to try to mind read Dawkins and that you don't like what he's saying. Ooh. And you don't get it. You don't get that he's using pathogen in a metaphorical way, not a literal way, you nitwit. Okay. All right. So, yeah. I guess, and that's it. Just he says more stuff, but I don't want to deal with him anymore. So that's, yeah. So Bret's wrong. I don't usually defend Dawkins because I don't, Dawkins can defend himself. I don't care. But Bret was just utterly wrong here about religion. And, he's admiring a picture of people worshiping that are Muslim. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But his argument is incorrect because he is arguing against a non-argument, and his argument is taking the metaphor literally. Now, the correct logical approach, if you've done it, would have been to say that at best Dawkins is making an argument of analogy, and that the analogy is flawed. But he didn't frame it that way. He pretended that the analogy was real and then complained about it. So he didn't frame his response correctly, logically speaking. And because of that, he logically is incorrect. And so his argument fails, logically speaking. Even though Dawkins could hypothetically be wrong on a logical level. But I do see it as a metaphor. And I don't see it as the essence of the entire argument that Dawkins is giving, per se. But it isn't in itself an argument and isn't meant to be. Religion is a virus of sorts. It infects people all the time. And it has infected humanity for a long time. And the atheism is the cure. And it is winning slowly, despite your best efforts, Bret. And since you're anti-vax, well, maybe we will infect you after all. I don't know. Anyways, let's see. Great MIJ saying stuff that's not true. Okay. What's the picture of the opposite of humans not behaving in a cult-like way? I don't know what you're asking there. Yeah, we're not going to kill today. Yeah, exactly. We don't have to. We are human beings, the blood of a million savage years on the hands. We can stop it. We can admit that we're killers. Not going to kill today. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good quote from Kirk there. A pyramid would be better than a cube. Yeah. Atheism is the scourge. How is it a scourge? We're just pointing out that these beliefs are weird and wacky and wild, and it is. It's kind of weird to believe in invisible, intangible things that have no basis in proof. It's weird. It can be benign, but it's still weird. It can be good sometimes. Depends upon the person or the group. But it is a virus of a sort, in a way. You can look at it that way, and that's perfectly valid. It's not exact, but, it's decent. I'd say it more like, like a reciprocal parasite or something like that, I don't know. What I think of weird as a matter of perspective, yeah, I guess, it is weird that people believe in something that you can't see, measure, test, or quantify in any actual way. But also the bell curve suggests that is pretty damn normal in a way. Lots of people believe in this thing, even though there's no evidence of it. That's wild and weird and wacky, but also it's normal. It's a paradox. It's just, I don't know. But yeah, to call it a parasite or a mind virus or whatever you want to call it, religion is evil. Yeah, sure. Broadly speaking, there are a few religions that aren't. Very few. There are people that are religious that aren't. And slowly, we're modifying ourselves to be better than religion, better than these ideas that we hold. Hopefully we can do so before we wind up killing each other off, but who knows? You have personal experience that's evidence of God to you. Okay, that's nice. So does everybody that believes in any sort of God, pretty much. But there are people that believe in God that have never had an experience of God at all, but still believe despite that personal evidence to them. And there's those who've had personal experiences that they would have called God at one point, but deconverted from that belief to atheism. So your personal experience that you label as God isn't necessarily God. It might just be your own brain, and you think it's God. And in fact, the data suggests that that's the case. The thing that you're calling God is just you, your own brain, tricking you into thinking that it is more than it is. And you're allowing yourself to be tricked by it. And that's, nobody can fix that but you. But you can only do that through research into it. But it doesn't really have anything to do with what I'm complaining about per se here. Bret is wrong. That's all I wanted to complain about. Okay, so I mean, this video will become something different at this point, sure. No, none of the apostles of Jesus were actually killed for their beliefs. Not a single one. Okay, so if you actually want to make that statement, Ben, then show me a apostle that was killed because he believed in Jesus and died with the ability to say that Jesus wasn't Jesus and that would have spared his life. Demonstrate that person actually exists historically speaking, Ben. I'll wait for your citation. And after the hangout, just to give you time, my email is deconvertedman1@gmail.com. I'll wait for that email, and I will report on when and if Ben ever emails me that citation. Don't hold your breath, ladies and gentlemen. It's not there. According to the book of Acts, okay, that's not historical then. You're using the book to prove the book. Okay, so no, you're gonna have to do better than that. And let's see if that's true, just for fun. Acts killed. Let's see. And by the way, you said all, not just one, but you did say all, so you'd have to do it for all the apostles. I said do one, because I don't think you could even do one. But let's see. Stephen was killed by being stoned to death. He was speaking blasphemous words against the temple and the law. He was arrested. He gave a speech. He criticized Jewish religions, and they stoned him. So that wasn't that. It doesn't sound like Stephen was told at any point that he could avoid that by just saying that Jesus wasn't really Jesus to me, which is the thing that you said. Okay, Ben? You said all the apostles of Jesus were killed shortly after he was crucified, which isn't true, and that no one dies for a lie, which is also not true. Okay, so and even if that's the case that they were all killed, that doesn't mean anything. Now, what I thought you were saying, to be fair to you, is I thought you were saying the lie that has been repeated, sadly, that there's this idea that the followers of Jesus were given a chance to say that Jesus was a lie and that they didn't do that and then they were put to death. That's not true at all. Okay, so I misconstrued what you wrote there, Ben. So my bad on that. I withdraw that. But I will say that it doesn't matter even if all of them were killed whenever they were killed for whatever reasons. That doesn't make anything that they said true. And as far as them dying for a lie, well, that guy was killed. Even in Acts, he was killed because he was blaspheming against the Jewish stuff. So he was killed for other religion reasons. The religion of Judaism killed him for their religion. That doesn't make him right. He thought if he believed the things he was saying, he doesn't know it's a lie. So this is just nonsense. And yeah, all of Heaven Gate's cult died for what they thought was true. It doesn't make it true, okay? They all killed themselves thinking that if they killed themselves, they would go to heaven because the meteor was going to pass, and that's killing yourself gets you through Heaven's Gate. And so they all died for a lie. So people do die for lies. Yeah, I'm a bit skeptical. I'm extraordinarily skeptical for many reasons. Here's the other. People don't die for what they know is a lie. No, yes, they do. Of course they do. Well, how would you prove that that's not? How would you prove that's true? Okay, but I'll tell you how we know that this isn't the case. Okay. Okay. Let's say that you start lying to people. Okay, whatever the lie is, I don't know. And especially if it's religion. Okay, you say that you're God. Let's just say that that's your lie. Now, you get captured by a bunch of people, and they say, we're going to kill you unless you admit you're not God. Here's the problem. If you admit you're not God, do you really think that they're not going to kill you? Maybe. But let's say that you really thought that. Well, what about all the people that still believe you're God? Don't you think they might kill you now? So you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. So you might as well die as a God to these people than admit the truth, right? Yeah. Plus the sunk cost. The sunk cost fallacy is when we put in time and energy into something, keep doing it even if it's not working because, well, we've been doing it so long, why stop now? Okay, so if you've been lying long enough, you're going to keep lying because why stop now? So yeah, you absolutely would die for a lie, and people have. Deconvertedman1@gmail.com. No, okay. My camera keeps going out of focus? Yeah, well, it's doing whatever it feels like doing there, Webby. But yeah. That's a good reason to stop. Is my camera going out of focus? No, it's not. All right, but I said everything I want to say about Bret Weinstein, and it's fine that I interact with chat here and get a little bit off topic because it's still on brand for this channel, so it's fine. Anyways. Is it a lie if they really want it to be true now? Yeah, I mean, we could convince ourselves of the lie. You know, we can make ourselves believe that it's true. So people are good at doing that. That's how we're able to deceive each other. We can deceive ourselves. Pretty scary. That's why we should be skeptical. So stay skeptical. And yeah, until next time, be skeptical. And if you're Bret Weinstein, screw you. Also, I would love to interview you sometime. But yeah, screw you about this topic. Not in general. But yeah, screw you on this topic. He'll never interview me or let me interview him. What am I kidding? Maybe it'd be interesting. I'd ask him about the vaccine stuff. I'd ask him, about all that. I'd ask him about the religion stuff. Yeah, it'd be a great conversation. I'm not famous enough for him to notice me. But yeah. I'd even might apologize to his wife. Maybe. We'll see. Don't think he'll reach out to me, though. Be skeptical. There. Okay.